Yeah. So I was just going to say that this is going to be really laid back. We've never done this before. I created this opportunity for myself. Raw foods is raw foods. But there may be small differences with growing children and teenagers, small things you want to consider. And I wanted to give Natea an opportunity to begin to become empowered to work in front of groups, because I have a feeling she's going to be an incredible teacher. She's already embraced the raw vegan lifestyle full ahead and is doing very well in the sense that society is pizza and chips and drugs and drinking, you know, at around 16 starts to kick in, and I think she's going away from that through fitness and raw foods. And so I'll give her a chance to chime in, and I just thought we would just lay back and, you know, just have a nice conversation between us for an hour, and maybe I'll talk about some of the things that I'm really falling in love with about what raw foods is really doing. Real raw foods, clean raw foods like here. Does anyone feel better today than they felt 3 days ago? I mean, because at home you're eating all your stuff and you're throwing it on and making these things, and here it's like, where's all the salt, man? There is none. So you got to really start to enjoy the flavor of vegetables. It sucks. It's probably one of the downsides of being a teenager. You're used to all the stuff, and then all of a sudden you're trying to eat clean. I think your skin has vastly improved in 3 days since we've gotten here. I think not just from the sun, but from the diet.
Yeah, definitely.
And you were with me for about 10 days or so before we got on the plane and came here.
Yeah.
And so one of the things about being a teen, I think, is that when she lives with her mom, you know, they don't have the same budget or emphasis on foods that I do. So she kind of came, and it's more abundant because we just go, you know, Sophie and I, we just go shopping and we get what we want. Like food is a priority. You know what I mean? And abundance, consciousness is a priority. So when Natea came with me, she's like, well, I want that, everything that I don't normally get at home with mom. So I wanted to indulge her because that's an important part of anybody's raw food journey. It's like you need to be able to tear it up for a while. And you need to be able to tear it up anytime you want, with whatever, as long as it's raw and vegan, you know? You need to be able to eat whatever you want when you want. And then when you want to just drink orange juice, it's your golden elixir, it's your choice. It's so fulfilling and satisfying. You don't feel like you're missing out on anything. You feel like the other person, they're missing out, because you're like, boom, 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 boom. You're like so awake and so alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the clean eating, God, come to the Eating for Enlightenment class that I don't even know when that is, but that's when I'm going to talk about what's really going on. Why less food is more power. I'm not talking about this energy. There's the carb up myth. It doesn't work for me. I even ate just a little bowl of the stuff last night, the gazpacho and the thing, and it just, I mean, I was on juice, orange juice. So we are much more than calories and fats and proteins. So come to the Eating for Enlightenment talk, and we will get into, I've had some serious downloads because I've been eating so much cleaner and focusing on like really contemplating what is going on. But let's try to keep it to the topic. Anyone ever seen my videos? What is the topic for Dan McDonald? Just an opportunity to break out.
Enlightenment.
Yeah, so Natea, we're gonna focus on you a little bit and use you as our guinea pig. How long have you been raw vegan?
Since this past April, when you came and visited. Every time you come, it inspires me to go a little further.
Cool, I didn't know that.
I mean, I kind of, like, Mom and I incorporate a lot of raw food, but then here and there I'm like, oh man, I love mashed potatoes and soups and things like that. And sometimes we don't have like all this other stuff, and so, you know.
It's when you're with me, there's like, oh, the crackers and the sauerkraut and stuff, and her and Sophia kind of tear it up, you know, and I'm like, orange juice, you know. And so it's raw, like you're raw, but, you know, it's still got, and that's why some of the skin stuff comes up, because the raw junk food, it's still raw vegan, but the dehydration stuff, it's cool. It might be better than chemicals, the chemical junk food with the MSG, but you know, we're water-based electrical beings. So what's going to make the best food for us? Fruit, you know. We're water-based electrical beings who create conductivity with our environment with minerals, you know. Does that make sense? I mean, we are so much more than we understand. We are so much more. We are infinite. That is the emphasis that I'm putting. Just because I've seen what's happened in this life, going from there and now it's like, wow, and I'm like 40 years young and I'm like, wow, I can feel the possibilities of unlimited anything. So I like to just sit at home and do nothing, you know, but because that's fun. But you know, I just want to emphasize that to people so they can get a sense of that divinity that's just welling up in them, waiting to be expressed. With the fears and all that, we're afraid of being so awesome. But eventually you have to just embrace it. I had to embrace that. And I'll do it here for you. You know, it's like, you're on YouTube, go around the world, dude, you're awesome. And then everyone else can say, can I be awesome too? And I'm like, yes, you can all embrace your awesomeness. Well, I'm not this, I'm not that, but I am pretty good at this. No, you are exactly epic, just the way you are. And you need to embrace all parts of yourself. And this morning on the yoga mat, and Victoria was helping me with this, embrace even the weird little stuff that you think you shouldn't be doing. Like that's not, oh, that's not divine, but that's still you. It's like, I think this morning on the yoga mat, I fell in love with the ego. I just fell in love with the ego that does what it does, looking at pretty girls, which is one of those things as a spiritual person I'm not supposed to do, but I just did deadlifts yesterday, so my testosterone shot through the roof, and now that's affecting my brain.
There are masters for womanizers.
What's that? No, but that I'll never do that. I always.
No, but the ego is there for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, what you said made sense. It's just, it makes you respond. Otherwise, if you were just pure spirit, you'd be right there, and which nothing wrong with that, I don't think. You would just sit there and people would like, hey master, talk to us. You know, be as you are. Well, you know, tell me something else, man. Give me some directions. So
I don't think we'd build cities or anything that would progress if there was no ego. I'm losing my voice. There would be nothing if there was no ego. Because people would just sit around and just be.
Yeah.
There would be no reason to go further. So in order to create, in order to procreate, ego is involved. We wouldn't have children if we had no ego. Because we want something part of ourselves.
Interesting. Cool. So I was going to come back to her mom is embraced the raw vegan lifestyle as well. Maybe not perfect or 100%, but of course at first she thought I was crazier than a loon. Like everybody else, there's fruits and vegetables crap. You'll die in a week, you know. Where do you get your protein? You've got to have the decomposing corpse in your body to have health and happiness. Right. Sometimes I would never judge anyone if people sit around eating salmon. I'd say, hey, how's the salmon? You know. But as far as me getting to be a teacher, I get to call it a dead corpse. You know, because that's what it is, and it's decaying. And then if you want to have pus and mucus decomposing your body for that stimulation quality, that's fine. And maybe meat did keep us alive in colder weathers and things like that. But you know, it's just, you don't need that, because I'd be dead if you needed meat. I would not be here, and I feel like I, you know, look like I'm at least half alive, you know. And I'm feeling pretty damn good today, and I deadlifted God knows how much weight yesterday, and I surprised myself because I'm the skinniest strong guy on campus here. So anyways, you were inspired every time I come, and that's what I've noticed happens, because I just do what I do, and I don't preach. I just be that, and I love it, and everyone's eating salmon, and I slap open a watermelon, and most of the people that know me know that that's how I roll. And then after they eat all that other food, they say, I should have just had another. Eventually they will, but raw foods for teens. I think the teens want to have healthy skin, right? Any teens watching this want to have healthy skin? Anybody here want to have healthy skin? Who is a teenager? I like it. I haven't got there yet. I'm still an infant. I'm just being born today, right now. So healthy skin, it's pretty easy, to be honest with you. It's that's wrong. I catch myself. It's not easy, but it's simple. The concepts. If you want to have healthy skin, you have to quit putting things into your body that cause you to not have healthy skin, which is mucus forming, pus forming, excessive carbohydrate turning into alcohol and fermenting in your GI tract, particularly like the cooked grains and things like that. Which eventually, what I could sum it up for everybody, if you want to have healthy skin, there's a couple of different food groups for you. 3 really. Fruits, number 1 for a good healthy skin. Fruit makes you cute. Vegetables make you strong. And the nuts and seeds will give you the power and the virility. You know what I mean? And those types of foods digest in the body without leaving behind those residues that end up, I'll explain the skin. And that is that the kidneys, you know, they get clogged up, and then the lymphatic system with nowhere to drain gets backed up, and then your skin becomes a 3rd kidney. Because grains are the worst for the kidneys, and then the meats and the cheeses are running in a nice second, and then just earthy sediment. I mean, the kidneys are just tiny little things, you know? And they're little seeds. So orange juice goes right through. Coconut water goes right through. But, you know, when you start getting more earthy material, grains are very heavy on earthy sediment materials that can get lodged within the tiny little microcapillaries and spongy tissue of the kidneys. And once those get backed up, lymphatics have nowhere to go, so your skin becomes an eliminative organ. You have to keep your skin from becoming an eliminative organ in order to have healthy skin. Does that make sense? So we keep the kidneys clean, we keep the body clear. If there's any teenagers watching this video, just start working your way towards fruits and vegetables, salads and smoothies and juices, and then you can take some of the nuts and seeds while you're in cross country or working out, and keep a little bit of that vigorousness. Yeah.
What about eating lots of dates and bananas? Because those can seem to affect my skin sometimes.
Yeah, because the dried fruit really isn't the best. It's dried fruit is a transitional food, and it ferments, turns to alcohol in the system because it's lacking the water required for digestion. So then there's this big blob of dried sugar fermenting and decomposing in your GI tract. That's why the fruits, you know, with the water, they digest easily, the fiber, and then all the water just, and then out through the kidneys, and the sugars go to the brain and to the tissues, and the water keeps the fluids in the body you know, alkaline so that the cells can respirate. But the fermentation of the dried fruit, not so good for the teeth, not so good for the fermentation. And then a lot of people have skin issues with all the fermenting grains because we're not birds, so the grains, you know, soaked and sprouted grains is one thing. I consider that a transitional food as well. But cooked grains is out, meat is out. And then eventually you'll find out that too many bananas and dates, those concentrated sugars, you know, date or bananas a little less, but dates, those are little fermentation bombs, and I just quit after a while. But I know what we are through lots of contemplation and experimentation through fasting and juicing, and I'm not able to live up to my perfect ideal yet, but it does take time. Wherever you are, teens, people, transition slowly. We've devolved over billions of years. It might take you a whole lifetime to get back to the pristine humans, the Homo spiritus that we really are. When we breathe and we live off the sunlight and we live off the cosmic radiation, which is easier in an environment like this with all this prana everywhere. And when we go back to the city, a little bit more difficult. We're buffering ourselves from massive overstimulation of the nervous system. So we have to be easy on ourselves at all times. If we don't truly understand, God, at Camp Walden, and it was so easy. Now I'm back here by myself in my apartment. I can't stop eating, fried avocados and cheeseburgers, So you got the field of energy here, for one thing. Another thing, you ain't got the store to run to. And then you got someone else making the food, and everybody else is doing it, and the fresh air's here, and the prana, and you're like, I'm not even really hungry anyways, So, again.
How would a teen deal with detox symptoms?
Well, have you had any detox symptoms?
I think at first, but I remember my hair was kind of shedding a lot, and you and Mom were like, it's detox, and then I felt like that wasn't quite it. And I think that it was very short because I haven't had like a lifetime of accumulation. And so...
How old are you?
16. And I went vegan 2 months after I turned 15. So about a year later from that, I went raw. And then, yeah. But anyway, and then I realized it was like iron and stuff, but I haven't had a lot of detox so much. It's more like, if anything, I just break out, and then I'm like, okay, I shouldn't have ate that. And I slowly learn over time things that I can do, can't do, really. And I noticed that, like, it's basically just raw. Like, everyone's been saying this for forever, but I kind of, like, am adventurous, and I'm like, I gotta try it for myself. And now I'm like, oh, honey, maple syrup, sugar, too much dried fruit. Because, like, dried fruit, sometimes I can do it, but it has to be, like, a small quantity, just because the sugar absorbs so fast because it's so concentrated. And...
unless you're really active, it's not going to do benefits.
Because the oxygen will neutralize a large percentage of the fermentation,
It sustains you also for longer, endurance distances and stuff. But if you're not doing that, then it's going to sit.
Fat too. I noticed, like...
can't stop eating it either because it's so concentrated.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, this is great, Victoria.
What is detox?
Detox is when you get into
I know what it is. What are the symptoms? What can happen with detox?
Well, I like the first question too, because what is detox is when the body is no longer managing the old material or the new material. Like, let's say, for example, what is detox? Well, you go to your doctor and you say, I'm in so much pain, okay? Now that's a symptom of detox. The body's trying to work in that area to help to release it. What we look at as diseases is actually the body trying to eliminate metabolic residue. Like, let's say you have an earache. So now I'm dealing with that right now after all these years, believe it or not. Earaches when I was younger from the dairy, of course, and then antibiotics. Okay, we want to let the earache happen, but our mommies and daddies, oh, poor baby, take the Tylenol, take the antibiotics, shove the mucus deeper back into the tissues. Next time we get another earache, more stronger antibiotics, deeper into the tissues, deep, hard masses of indurated mucus. 40 years young, finally, on orange juice and fasting and watermelons, breaking it loose. Coming to Walden, oh God, I gotta go to Woodstock. I'm feeling a little bit better today though because of the dancing last night, breaking up the mucus, but it's still in there and it's gonna need to be, I gotta keep OJ in it, lemon juice in it, watermelon in it, grape in it, hitting it. And then when I get out of here, I'll get to some water fasting and get through it, and crap was coming out my ear, you know what I'm saying? This is like, I haven't had dairy in years. or anything cooked. So that's detox. Like, we got drugs. So I was talking about, let's say, earache. You go there, you take that, or you take the pharmaceutical drugs. You take a pharmaceutical drug, and your symptoms go away. Now, why is that? Well, because you just put a new poison in your body so that the vitality can now focus on that, right? And so that symptom goes away, and now all you got to do is keep putting in toxins every day so that you don't have to have the symptoms of the old, as the body's always trying to heal itself. There is an intelligence that governs this universe, and it governs you just the way that it governs everything else. And if you tap into that, it's always trying to heal you. It's always trying to, God is looking for itself through you. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Right. It's like it wants that wholeness. That's why we have all this diet stuff and meditation stuff and yoga stuff and all this stuff to try to, and all the pain to drive you back into seeking more answers. And you find it as a divine, infinite, loving, nourisher intelligence that's always trying to heal you. So what do we do when we want to heal or expand or evolve? We tap into that wholeness. And it's this field of non-duality. Everything else is dualistic. I like this, I don't like this. Dark, light. You know? Sick, healthy. In the center there, and so that intelligence is looking for itself through you to feel the wholeness of its own being. So God is looking for God through you, and one of the things that intelligence does is tries to create health in your living organism to make it a divine receptor of that light. So it is always trying to turn you into a superconductor of its divinity so that you can activate and light more candles on the earth. So how's about that, teens on YouTube? That's a little too mommy, I can't do this. I don't want to be like that guy.
You being an adult, watching your daughter go through or transitioning and eating a raw vegan diet, like what do you see as the challenges that you didn't face as an adult that you see in a teenager? Because I could ask her, but she can't compare to being an adult and a teen.
Well, I don't see her social struggles as much. I'm not the custodial parent. She's in Seattle, I'm in California, and all over the place. So I don't really see, but I think I understand what some of those things are, but I think she's so committed to it that it's like, it doesn't, you know, you cook potatoes for your boyfriend and you don't eat it. And your friends and your sister, they're eating pizza and you just don't eat it. So
maybe you could answer it, like what kind of challenges do you face being a teen that maybe you think an adult wouldn't face? And how have you worked through that? Maybe the other teens could answer.
Probably kind of like a lot of social stuff more than anything, rather than physical. Because, I mean, like most teens, you know, as you get older, you start gaining weight and the food really starts affecting you. I've noticed that with both my parents and everything. But I mean, so I'm at school and everyone's eating like pizza and cookies and soda and all this stuff, and I have like a salad and pineapple and celery with almond butter or whatever, you know, and everyone's like, whoa, you're so healthy. Usually women, but then guys are like, what are you doing? You need meat. Where do you get your protein? Freak. Dirty vegan, like, and I don't know. I actually hear that a lot. It's really not okay. And
that challenge there is you are shining a light on their filth. and they know it deep down inside. Like, we don't want to judge anyone for their food, but these kids are not performing at school. I did not perform at school. I had ADD. Well, hey, dumbasses, why don't you look at what you're feeding me? It's filth. And I'm supposed to get A's and B's and do good in school when I can't sit still because you just loaded me up with toxins and you failed me? You failed me. I did not fail in school. I only made it through the 8th grade, you know? And they just said, you're just worthless. And I'm like, you don't know me, homie. I got a plan. You know? And I was this young little dude, and I was better than the school system, and I knew it. I knew it in my little tiny soul. I was better than that. Just like, it's sad what we're doing to our kids. It's disgusting. If there's any teachers out there, PTA members, y'all got to do something. There's like one school district where one lady stood up and said, this is some bullshit. Y'all got to feed these kids some real food. You know what I mean?
My daughter's school feeds organic now, but it's dairy incorporated in every, because it's a public school, there's still dairy in every meal. And I said, why don't you just give milk on the side? They said, no, we can't because the FDA is funded. I mean, it's all, I mean, the schools are funded by the dairy industry. So they have to, by law, put like cream inside the pasta, cheese inside the spinach. It's so sad.
Got milk posters.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
Dairy's probably the worst.
The Dairy Council have a monopoly over the schools.
Yep.
And the media as well.
Isn't there a vegan school I heard? Like
Yeah, in New York.
I don't know, but that sounds, yeah. That,
Not vegan, it's
Not vegan,
vegetarian.
it's vegetarian.
Oh.
Yeah, this is vegetarian. My daughter can't have it. It's all organic, so it's a big step. It's called Organic One Love Cafe, but it's not vegan. And I said something. I'm going to keep saying something till they change it.
vegans are strange, but they're going to be way healthier, because the truth is the line is like this, and this is going to freak out the teens too, but at the top, we're breatharians. Below that, liquidarians. Below that, fruitarians. Below that, vegans. Below that, vegetarians. Below that, carnivores. And most of society is way down there at the bottom, making up all these excuses. Our brains got bigger from eating the corpses of dead animals. Our brains got bigger because we used them. And when you use your brain, you create a new little neuron and a little dendrite at the end. And then it has nothing to do with eating pus. Because the minute that the animal's dead, I mean, if you're going to eat an animal, chase it down, rip its throat out, drink the warm electrical blood filled with the living minerals, and then you're doing something potentially life-giving. But that piece of meat is like 2 weeks old, it's kind of gray, the blood is already decomposed, and the pus and the parasites have already begun to grow on it, and it's putrefying already. The minute that the animal stops breathing, that flesh starts to putrefy. So I really don't, I'm not trying to have it, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense to me. And what I've seen here, this is healthy, happy, good vibe people. This is one of the few places that I see that. So what does that tell me? That fruits and vegetables are really good for you. And I've had a lot of experience with that. Fruits and vegetables are good for you. I have thousands and thousands of people that have written to me over the years. I couldn't walk. I started drinking. I couldn't walk for 3 years. Couldn't get out of bed. I had my caretaker make me green juice every day, and 3 weeks later I'm out dancing. So it's like, well, okay, you've got to put the living stuff in the living organism in order to bring it to life. Because if it only makes sense to me when I read the Gospel of Peace, life only comes from life, and death comes from death. Do not put the fire of death over your food. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's just the Gospel of Peace. I read it 14 years ago. It completely transformed my life, gave me hope, and to this day, I strive to live perfectly with the teachings in that book, because it makes more sense to me than any diet book that ever was. Eat once at noon, eat once at 6, and a master eats only once in the day. A true master eats only once a day. And the master will know that that's all you need. Now, if you're a superpower athlete and you've got all this, but for a regular, average person, doing a little yoga, doing a little yard work, going to the office, you know, it's like we're eating ourselves to death. You know what I mean? Because we really only need the minerals to neutralize the acids that are formed in the living process. That's why fruits, to neutralize the acid waste and to keep the tissues alkaline and clean, keep replacing the fluids in your body so your cells can dance and stay alive and absorb cosmic radiation and emit cosmic radiation, and then you become a superconductor of divine energy through the intention of the mind. This is eating for enlightenment. I can't help it. I told you. Tangent factor. Is this for teenagers? Let's get back to something. Stop. DTM, what can you do? So raw foods for teens. We want to, if there's any teens left, we want to encourage you to look at the example of Natea. Because I remember when you showed up here, you know, from the crackers and the sauerkraut and the avocados and
Kale chips.
Kale
I think
chips.
that's a good
Yeah.
Kale chips are cool. They're fun to make, but they're pretty heavy. It's the water. It's the water in your foods. The fiber's kind of cool if you think you need that. You know, but the liquidarian right below breatharian, you know, is I've done liquidarian a lot. It's like you get too high, you got to figure out ways to ground it. So it's the water in the foods for the teenagers, for the babies, for the adults, and for the grandmas, and the grandpas too. Everybody, every living organism, every human being wants high water foods because dehydration equals decrepitude. The cells in your body don't go, I'm 42 years old and I've seen that many sunsets, you know, and I was born blah, blah, blah. The cells they don't have a clock on them. If you keep the fluids clean, your cells will continue to replicate. It's easier to understand why we die than it is to understand, it's harder to understand why we even die. Except for the fact that the conditions are not optimal. But we shouldn't die. Scientists can't figure out why did the cells wear out? Remember the scientist Carroll? He kept the chicken heart alive for 25 years. You know how he kept the chicken heart alive? He didn't feed it food. He just changed the fluid in the little beaker.
I thought you gave it nutrients, and then he had the way to get the toxins out, and then he gave it oxygen. Those are the three factors.
Yeah. So maybe you know more about the Carroll experiment
And
than
the
I
only
do.
reason it ended is because one of the lab assistants, after the scientist actually died, and the experiment went on, the assistant forgot to feed it one day or take out the toxins one
That's
day,
right.
and that's the only reason this experiment ended.
Well, that was the part of the story that stuck out in my head, is that one day, after 25 years, the fluid wasn't replaced, and the chicken heart drowned in its own waste. So what is happening to humans? How many consults do you think I've done? What's happening? The human beings are drowning in their own waste. So is detox, orthorexia, oh God, no. Super highly intelligent inner drive to see that, oh yeah, maybe I should fast for a little while, or go on a juice fast, or go on a fruit cleanse. Very intelligent thing to do, because then you will be able to keep those fluids clean, the blood and the lymph. So the fruitarian thing makes sense, but you have to be smart about it in the modern day, because the fruit isn't what it used to be, the soil's not what it used to be. That's why I recommend the balance of fruits and bringing in the greens, because the fruits are the highest, the vegetables are a little bit lower. There's even some toxins in vegetables. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. The fruits have the least amount of sediment, metabolic residues. The vegetables are a little bit harder, but there's the karma of the vegetables. It's that whole big weird story of carrots are alive. Like, vegetables don't really want to be plucked and eaten because they're a living live plant, but the fruit says to you, please eat me, poop somewhere away from me, and spread my seeds. We'll be doing each other a wonderful favor. The karma is much less, right? The fruit, you know, gives you that gift so that you'll spread its seed, you know? So the karma of fruit is the least amount of karma. The karma of the vegetable, hey sucker, you just killed me. Unless you're a goat, then you just nibble off the top and leave the plant, which is real smart, which you can do, because usually that's what I try to do when I'm out foraging for wild foods, is I'll just nib off the top of the nettle, you know what I mean? Or just pick the most tender parts of the dandelion greens, you know what I mean? And leave the plant. So then I don't have the karma, but I get the wonderful nutrients, and the buds on top of the nettles are like the best. You throw those into your smoothie, very nourishing. highly minerals. That's the thing, to neutralize the acid waste that comes from living in a flesh body. So,
what advice do you give to teens who are having the challenges of like social peer pressure? Like, what would you say?
what's your deal? I mean, you just say I ain't going down those roads because you've seen what it does to your skin and your mental when you make those choices. So is it easy for you to stay raw around your friends?
Yeah, it used to not be. Well, it used to be really difficult, like around the family or around friends that I've had for a long time, because there's the social like addiction and the memories and everything, and that is like, in a weird way, a lot of our social interactions are kind of based off of food, really. I mean, I know with a lot of my old friends, that's a lot of what we did. We would just have sleepovers and eat Cheetos and drink Sprite, and it was great, kind of, but I don't know. So now it's like, everyone's kind of like, oh no, she's not going to eat that, she doesn't eat that, and then, I don't know, it's just, it doesn't even tempt me anymore, just because I know what it does to my body, and now I'm sort of like an ethical, well, I am an ethical vegan now. I wasn't when I started. It was like health and aesthetic type stuff, like how I looked and how I felt, and I was gaining weight and had an eating disorder, and it was crazy. And so, but over time it became like an ethical thing, and so I just know that I'm not going to be a part of that, and it doesn't even tempt me. And I know one day I was actually like, I think I was working my calves or something, and with my dumbbells or whatever, and then I looked at my calves and I was like, that's what we're eating when we eat meat. Like, it's literally muscle. And it never dawned on me, because I mean, I always kind of thought it was like fat or whatever, but we're literally eating dead animal muscle. And then after that I was like, I'm done, never again. Yeah.
Totally.
Your dad's videos are the coolest videos. He's like this cool dude in a cowboy hat in front of a trailer with a huge zucchini. He's like, this is my dinner. I'm like, this guy is so cool. He made raw food cool. And then I showed Michael this video, and I'm like, this guy is doing it. He's doing it, and he's doing it for free. Like, he's making these videos, and people get to watch this man do something that he knows and tells everybody about. And that's what inspired me to make videos. You did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Raw food is cool. That is true. That's always been one of my intentions, to make raw food sexy. Because I'll tell you it is. Because when you stinky, you stinky. And I don't want to be around you, lady. Sorry. But I like it fresh. When you coming off like that, baby, what's your name? You know what I mean? How you doing?
Sounds like you.
I have a question. Did you lose friends, gain new friends? Do you have friends that are basically kind of following you as far as like, yeah, I want to do this, or how does that
Yeah, actually a lot of, it's more like my female friends and stuff. I haven't lost any friends really. Some people say that they have lost friends, and I'm like, what? But you know, most people are like, oh yeah, that vegan freak, you know, and they kind of just get used to me like doing my own thing, and they're comfortable with it and stuff like that. But oh man, I had such a good train of thought. Okay. No, I promise. Okay, what was your question exactly?
Got that from me.
My question was, did you lose friends? Did you add friends?
Right, okay, thank you. Sorry.
God, I wish I had somebody to help me on my videos like that.
But I actually have a lot of like girls that are like, wow, you're such an inspiration to me and things like that. Guys more are like, oh, yeah, I'm never going vegan. You do your thing. Or I get a lot of hate from guys. It's weird. But then my guy friends, they meet my dad and they're like, wow, that's so cool. I'm going to drink tons of water today. And like, it's crazy. I don't know. It's weird that guys and women have a different influence on, you know, the same gender. So.
Her friends were over there one day, and I just talked to them. I talked to 6 months old like I talked to an 85-year-old, just like a person. I was talking to all her guy friends over at the house, just, you know, just normal person. And they're like, "Oh, your dad's so cool," you know. So it's good to just be cool. The other thing is that when you get back from here, because you've only been here for 3 days, wait until you get done at the end of the 2 weeks.
Yeah.
it's going to be like, I've seen so many people transform here because it's all so clean. This is the no toxic food. I mean, the onions, a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, that's the whole highest of the highest levels. Complete, clean, pristine purity. But at the end, when you go home and you go right to school, like you should keep on with the kayaking, keep on with the yoga. Show them. Yeah, like that. That's what a healthy woman should look like. You know, just women should have a little more fat, nice, you know, a little, but it doesn't have to be like lumpy. It can be clean fat. You know what I mean? Clean, healthy fat, tone, high quality tissue, and that's what you've got. And if you stay with this, with the fitness, one of the things that I saw about Taya, and it gave me a revelation about creating healthy children, was when I took her to the gym when she was 14 for the first time. And she did everything with perfect form every single time. And so I knew that at the time she was born was at the peak of my bodybuilding days, you know? And so I knew that the organism was prepared by what the father and the mother were doing. So now one of my biggest hopes is that someday I get into actually helping. I want to find a couple that's like, Dan, work with me. And I would say at least for 2 years, but 7 years is actually 7 years preparation for the most ultimate avatar child. I have plans. I'm going to find, if it isn't me, if it isn't me, because I might still do it, you know. I'm almost ready I've almost got myself to where I want to be. A couple more years of final touches here. I've got some more fasting and things, but I'll prepare this DNA to be avatar style, and there's a few other little things that you do, but she went to the gym and I was like, wow, I've worked with hundreds of people as a personal trainer. I've never seen anybody do what she did in their first time on the gym. So I knew that was
natural.
Yeah, very much a natural. And so I don't, but the thing is, what I want everyone to know is that anyone can eat whatever they want. You want a burger, I will go to the store and I'll try to convince you to get whole wheat buns and organic ketchup, and I will cook you the burger, and I will not, there's dead flesh. I'll only say that on my videos for emphasis, but I will never, ever, I say, hey, I'm at the Olive Garden and I'm like, that looks like a really good steak. Did they cook it right? You know, I'm not gonna, as this role, I'll be like, yo, that's dead rotting flesh. But as the role in my personal life, I'm not gonna, I can't sit here with you, my family member or my girlfriend's family, and that's a dead fish, you know. It's like, see what I'm saying? So you have different roles, and you love everyone no matter what they eat. You emanate and you plant seeds by what you are, just like Nataya's going to do when she goes back. All your girlfriends are going to see, because your skin has improved by like 5% because you had a lot of stuff going on up here on the forehead, and now it's like almost completely gone. And so if you stay on point, we don't party too hard in New York when we get back there at Pure Food and Wine, because like Pure Food and Wine is different than Camp Walden, you know. Pure Food and Wine is going to eventually, there's raw foods, but I love the gourmet raw, and I am embracing it as a chef and all this fancy spicy stuff, because a vast majority of people, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but they're going to eat steak and lobster anyways. They're going to go out and have cooked gourmet. And so if I love making raw gourmet, that art, because I transitioned on myself for a hell of a long time, is gourmet raw better than the gourmet cooked? I think that it is, and it's like raw. I can plant that raw seed. People eat the raw taco bar, the DTM famous raw taco bar, and they're like, whoa, this is raw? I'm impressed, you know? So I'm embracing that. I've probably got 5 or 6 more DVDs in me on the gourmet before I transition over, because I also have to make a living. It's like, hi, I'm Dan McDonald, become a breatharian, please donate to me. I mean, you know, it's not going to work. So I have this incredible art. The people say to me, your food is the best. And so I'm embracing that as a chef while becoming a teacher of like sharing what we really are through these experiences of like the divinity that's such an animating principle. It's amazing, and you want to, the less that you eat and the clearer that your mind is, the more power you have to direct that divine potential within you. You can say, you can look at, like the other night on this bed, so it was a huge revelation. I was laying on the bed and I saw, I almost started to cry because I had these things going through my head, and it kind of made my heart sad, and then a tear started to well up, and then I just grabbed it, and I saw that I could control my mind, that I didn't have to have the thoughts that led to tears, that emotions stem from the perceptions and the patterns of thinking in the mind. And so if I don't want to have those thoughts that produce emotions of sadness and then bring heaviness and a severing of the conductivity of the divine flow, then I need to just keep my mind on the positive. And I was like, I became, that night here at Camp Walden, I became the master of my own destiny in a bigger way. Like, I knew it because I'd read it in books, but now I know it through experience as I saw it in my own mind. So I want to plant that seed to the teens. If I haven't lost you by now, then I haven't lost you. The mind, this bad boy up here is the next level. We get this, it's like, okay, oranges, watermelons, grapes, salads, smoothies, juices, you know, clean, raw foods, nuts and seeds, whatever you got to do to get this part regulated to where you're stable. But eventually, this thing up here, mastering that to create, to use that power that resides within, without, I call it God, using that creativity to make your life what you want it to be, to love yourself enough to know that you deserve that dream that's in your heart, whether it's money, a mate, fame, whatever. That's you, and you honor yourself by letting yourself have that and not letting anybody tell you, well, that's just your ego. Well, so what? That's just them saying, I'm afraid to succeed. I'm afraid to shine so bright that I reflect back at everyone and they hate me. It's not you they hate. It's the reflecting that you're doing that's making them look at themselves and say, God, I'm so scared, or I'm lazy. I don't want to change my diet. I don't want to work hard and make money. I just want to bitch and complain that you're doing it. Don't let that bring you down. Keep going, you know. There was another one here, and then Lisa.
Okay, my question is, so you're going to go back to school or college, high school?
High school.
High school. What's your plan for eating this high school?
I actually was thinking that I'm gonna go like all out psycho vegan and have like the big salad greens and stuff and throw like lemon and crazy stuff on it, and everyone's gonna be like, what are you doing? But I mean, I don't know, and I also think I'm gonna have like lots of fruit too for lunches and stuff. I definitely want to incorporate a lot of vegetables because typically I feel like I either have too much vegetables or I have too much fruit, but I feel like breakfast should be like fruit and light, and then lunch is kind of like salad and incorporating more vegetables, and then, you know, dinner is like a big salad and everything kind of. And so I feel like I'm gonna definitely have like pineapple, watermelon, while it's still in season. I kind of like, I get really like antsy, or not antsy, but I get like nervous kind of for winter and fall stuff because all the fruit goes out of season, and we kind of like work on a budget and everything, and so we buy things that are in season and what's on sale and things like that. And so I mean, you know, we'll have to see, and it'll work because my mom is raw all year long, and she's beautiful, and she, you know, but I'll just have to eat what she eats, but more of it definitely, and fat, avocados for sure, because I'm an athlete and I do cross country and I lift a lot and I do like CrossFit stuff and track and, you know, so yeah. Lisa? Sorry.
Hi Dan and Taylor. I'm sure the teens watching your video, Dan, would be interested in the skin you touched on earlier. Can you explain to them why we tend to break out on our face, neck? Why not, somewhere else, our legs?
Well, a lot of times it's because the face is exposed a lot more than the rest, so the pores are open to the inflow and the outflow. So when the rest of the body is exposed a little bit more, there'll be that inflow and that outflow, the back knee and the front knee. Yeah, the chest, and it's a lot. Some of it is hormonal, but I'm not really an expert in that area. I'm more of an expert in just getting to the source of it. So who cares where you're breaking out? It's like why.
I'm sure I'm sure the teens, you know, they might not sort of be that sort of understanding. You know,
If they eat really clean, fruits and vegetables and salads and smoothies, then they can clean out the kidneys, and then they can get more sunlight on the skin, and then you make sure you're also cleansing your face with the washcloth. Maybe not every night, but hot springs are really good to sweat. Saunas are really good to sweat, and lots of fresh air. Ocean. The ocean will help to clear up your acne, scrubbing your skin really well, using a nice healthy face cream without chemicals, relieving yourself of the need for sunblock. Sunblock is toxic. Some of the makeups for the young teen women are toxic. That's kind of an area that Matea is studying right now, is all the toxic makeup crap. Most of it is. I look for
Elizabeth's giving a class later about fruit makeup.
I'm so pumped.
Right after this.
right
I
on.
just want to say, Winter grew up as a raw vegan, and then he went off the diet, and things happened to him, so he could tell you.
Yeah, I had like the worst acne imaginable. That's why I went raw. I was about 200 pounds, but the weight didn't even bother me. It was the skin. And I remember my dad always said cleanse from within. You know, that's why he got me on juicing, I did carrot beet, you know, turmeric juice, and I used one of those loofahs, like the hard, to get off all the, you know, all the old stuff to erase all the crime, but a lot of the cleansing was from within, and it was such a good, you know, like such a good feeling when you're seeing results from doing raw and clearing up skin.
Cleansing without does not work without cleansing from within.
Yeah, exactly. Many
Many are pure on the outside. We have showers and we have a lot of nice cleansers. But with what's going on inside of the temple, you know? Karen.
I just want to say, I had cystic acne from the time I was an adolescent for like 25 years. And once I went vegan and got rid of the refined and processed foods and the dairy, most of it went away. And then when I went 100% raw, it was 3 months and my skin was clear of it. Even the scarring went away.
Right, even the scarring can regenerate. Even the stretch marks.
That's great.
There is it's infinite what you can regenerate, but it's not going to happen. I'm 100% raw. Well, what'd you have? Nuts, crackers, and stuff. You got to clean it up. There is fasting, there's breath work, there's yoga, there's positive thinking, there is being out in nature and surrounding yourself with that and letting it absorb and radiate. So there's just to regenerate, it's not going to be, I mean, the rebounding, the colonics, the enzymes, the essential oils. It's like positive, positive, positive all the time. It's staying in the on position. And you can, negativity is the off position, positivity is the on. Can you stay on? Do you have the ability to remember the divinity within you at all times? And are you focused on that? Because if you do, this time or this lifetime or the next, you will become the next enlightened sage. If you can remember that you are the presence of God right now, that divine light is burning within you, just waiting for you to say yes to it. And when you say yes to it, you stay in the on position. And the externals are not as important as the internal saying yes to life as it shows up. So, we've done a great job today, Matea. I think we have I think we have a minute for a couple more questions about eating raw foods for teens.
What are your favorite benefits? You know, I know the skin was one of them, and then another question is that aha moment where the light, you know, where that you just switched. And you talked about your calf muscles, maybe that was it. But was there another moment or anything like that?
God, there's been so many. I know, but like I can't think of all of them right now. I guess more kind of just experimenting with everything, because I know I've been like, oh, you know, I'll just stay vegan and mostly raw. But I noticed that even like salt, like, because there's a lot of controversy, like, oh, salt, you know, is good for you, it dissolves stomach fat. But I noticed like I mean, this whole time I haven't had any salt and I haven't bloated at all. And normally, like, I have this big food belly and it's not okay. But, and I mean, I don't know. I just have not had any salt and my stomach has been flat. And I'm like, wow, you know, because I have a lot of salt. Like, I know that I have way too much typically. And now this has taught me, like, okay, salt is out. I just have to eat clean, you know?
And other benefits, like have you had anything besides clear skin and just clear bodies?
I gain muscle a lot faster. Like you wouldn't think so, but I actually gain muscle a lot faster, and it's nice muscle. Like it's plump, and I get compliments on it and things like that. And my hair actually is much healthier and nicer. And since I started having a lot of iron, it grows faster, and it's more shiny. Like it's not that great today because I put Dead Sea stuff in it yesterday, and oh jeez. But
well, there's a couple of reasons why the hair was falling out, and one of them is stress.
Yeah.
Because stress robs you of the minerals, and number two is the detox. The hair is built up on decomposed stuff, dead stuff, and it's not the healthiest hair. And a lot of times then you start cleaning and it'll want to shed that old dead stuff. So there are some things that I've learned that you can do, like I use these Morocco Method hair care products that actually literally do. I used to never think that you could feed the hair and feed the body from the outside, but I tried these Morocco Method stuff, and my hairline started to kind of come down, and I started to grow new hair. And now my hair has been so epic since I've been using that Morocco Method stuff. So with the people that are having the hair, Anthony Morocco, 40 years, hair shaman.
Falling out after using that. I mean, I would wake up in the morning and it would be on the pillow. I'm like, dang, you know, this sucks. I started using that shampoo and switching it up, you know, every time, doing it, his method. And it's awesome. Like,
yeah, at first. It has you gotta cleanse. That's why you use the clays and stuff. That's what stops people, teens. That's what stops people is that detox. I don't feel well. I did the fruit thing for a few days. I felt terrible. I ate a cheeseburger. I felt better. Cheeseburgers are the foods of the gods. Because again, you start to dump back into the blood. It goes into your head. I don't feel good. When you eat more stimulating food, which stops the detox process, your normal stimulants. That's why the salt and the spices and the cooked and the soft and the fried fats. You neurologically get used to those stimulants, and your body begins to call out for them. And then when you take them all away and you do this dumb, I'm supposed to get healthy, and 3 days later you think, this raw vegan dick Dan McDonald, this is no good. This is like 14 years later, I'm finally beginning to gain the glow. You understand?
I can second that, because I know, like sickness, I honestly think of it as a detox, because I mean, when you're sick, your body tells you don't eat, you know, you're not hungry, you don't really want to eat. And I remember I dated this guy or something, he was sick, and then he was like, I gotta go eat a couple tacos because I'm sick. And I was like, wait, why? You're not supposed to eat when you're sick. And I wasn't even like vegan or anything then, but I mean, I'd been hearing all this stuff from my parents for so long, and plus, you know, even then I was still like, you know, you aren't hungry, and then when you're sick, you know, and then he was like, no, it's even more important to eat when you're sick and stuff. I was just like,
that's an old myth from the doctors. Feed a cold.
That's an ex-boyfriend.
Feed a sick person.
Oh, jeez.
It's when you're sick, you stop eating.
My daughter had a problem as a teenager. She would tell her friends not to eat certain things, and she'd lose friends. And I said, you can't do that. You know, because she was on such a mission. She wanted to like shout it from the rooftops, but I'm like, wait a minute. You can't tell people that they're going to die from their food. And she was like over zealous for like veganism.
Did you ever do that?
It could backfire.
When I was younger, actually. And I wasn't even vegan then.
Who didn't do that at the beginning? Yeah, right. Raw food's the holy grail, man. You better stop eating that crap or you're going to die tomorrow. You know? That will never work. I did that for like the first 2 years.
The parents didn't want them anymore, want my daughter to come over anymore. Could you tell your daughter to stop telling my daughter that chicken's going to kill her?
So we got a good balance here, ethical vegan and a vegan for health reasons, you know what I mean?
Well, one more question here. What about, my daughter's 14 and I've been debating on showing her where her food comes from, because she still eats the standard
I did
American
it as
diet.
young kids.
Yeah, and
How'd it go?
Videos, very effective.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
I mean-
oh yes, it works.
yeah.
Yes.
So,
People made fun of me,
Yeah.
but I said, you know what? They're not eating meat